Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Good evening, good night, good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the trip. Gary, DWTT for short. I've got, here's my, here's my panel for today. Got my co-host, Tony. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Be better if we got some points, but
Cool.
other than that, I'm doing all right.
All right. And Tom, how are you doing?
I'm just fine and dandy, sir.
Cool, cool. All right. So hello to everybody in the chat. I see Stephen was joined us earlier. I was chatting with him for a little bit. We'll get into one of his comments that he brought up there. Yeah, and we'll talk about the injuries. Riddy is here. Welcome, welcome. I hate football. Yeah, I think a lot of Arsenal fans right now hate football, and we'll get to some of the comments that I see here. We'll bring those up as we go through this. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right. So, coming into this part of the season right after January, the first thing I said to myself, and I've said to many, is Arsenal is going to have to be perfect. And by that, what I mean is we're going to have to deal with minimal number of injuries, minimal number of sicknesses, and not have to deal with any cards, players getting suspended. And it seemed like it was working for a little while. And today, it seemed like he was working. Even when we lost Tomiyasu, it was still working. Today, we saw pretty much everything come and fall right on our lap, and we struggled, right? Coming into the game, and we'll get into this. We had some injuries, and we had some sicknesses also coming into this game, and which affected the game, but we'll get into those as well. So, yeah, we weren't perfect, and this is what happened. So I can't say I'm surprised, but I am disappointed in the way that things went. Tony, what's your initial thoughts on this game?
It's not very shocking. I thought the best result we were going to get was a draw, so I'm not too surprised. We never start good after the international break. Injuries aren't surprising. We'll talk more about Tierney in a little bit with an update on his future of the season. But to me, we didn't show up. Like you said, slim margins. Injury here makes a totally difference on the left side. But going forward, we weren't good enough either. We're back to shooting 8 to 12 shots a game instead of 20 when we're getting goals, winning easily. Now we're back to where we were in October when we were struggling.
Yep.
So hopefully we can right the ship, make a quick change before the weekend, and start getting 3 points again.
Cool. And Tom, I know as a neutral, yeah. I have you on just to get a different point of view. You'll tell me.
Well, I'm looking at your stats on the game, and the reality is, if you didn't know the score, but you looked at the stats, you'd assume your team won it because you doubled their shots. But the fact is, they had 6 on goal, but 5 on target. Yeah. Whereas you had 12 on goal and 3 on target. So that tells the story in itself, surely, because nearly everything they touched turned to gold, and nearly everything you touched turned to shit. So ultimately, that's why what happened, surely.
There's the conclusion of a game. We can end the show, Gary.
Yeah, nah, it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it, and it's not that simple. Let's say it's not that simple. Let me go into the chat real quick. Hello there. Hello, Eva, or as I like to call her, Mom. How you doing? You've got Lottie in the house. Hello, Lottie. How you doing? Welcome to the show. I think everybody's still wound up about this game, so maybe we'll get some additional people to join us today. Steve is in the house. Welcome, Steve. And Mark also. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, definitely shameful, awful, just not good enough. Yeah, today we were really, really poor. Really, really poor. And as Lottie says, stats are, they're meaningless sometimes unless you see what's going on. And you take the stats, you look at the game, you go, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. Right? So, and and we'll get into this. Yeah. So we could talk about a lot of things. There's a lot of ways we can go. Do you guys want to start talking about basically what I call Arsenal being perfect and not having to deal with anything.
Yep.
That can affect
I
you.
think
So
that's a
let's
good
do
place
that.
to start from.
All right, so here we go. So we'll go through the comments, and also we'll talk about what I called perfection. What Arsenal need to do to be perfect. One, injuries. Arsenal is going to have to be limited by injuries, and as Steven says here, so the rumors are true about Partey's injury. If so, we are left with Xhaka, El Neni, and Lokonga in the central midfield. Injuries put the club in crisis. Would have guessed that after January. Yeah, and that was one of my concerns about having such a light incoming, or should I say no incoming, is that any injury will be a big injury for Arsenal, especially if it's to some of our best players. And in this case, it happened to be Partey. Actually, if he is out for an extended amount of time, that will be poor for us because we've seen what happens in midfield when we miss players.
Can we cover our left back now? Our starting left back?
Let's talk about Partey since he's up on the board first.
Okay.
So talk to me about Partey, Tony. So coming
It's
into
kind
the
of
game,
disappointing because he's finally given us the last 2 months what we've been wanting for the 18 months he's been there. Finally kind of getting a role to run forward and do what he does best instead of just being static. It's nice to see him going forward, creating stuff. His passing's been key to us penetrating down the middle. Everything before he started getting involved was down the flanks. Now we're going down the middle and the flanks. So I think Zombie can kind of do that. It's not really, he's more of a defensive guy, but I think he can do some of it, what Partey does. But I don't know what you're going to do with Zaki in there. To me, I'd still bench him for Smith Rowe and play Smith Rowe as a left midfielder and have Odegaard on the right midfielder. And I guess Zombie back in the middle, trying to drive forward a little bit.
Yeah. And that's the next step is what we do after this. So, Tom, as I guess we'll talk about Partey since that was the first comment that came up there. We're not sure, any team's going to be missing, has any injuries. In this case, an injury during the game, which I don't know by the time he got the injury if it made a difference, but this is going to be haunt us for the future.
I'm glad Tony said that. The first thing Tony said was his performances for the last 2 months, because my actual first thought when I saw about the injury and the reaction to it was, has he been good enough for it to be that big a deal? Not that I want anyone injured, or I'm saying it's a good deal that anyone gets hurt. It's not the point. But because generally for the first season you had him, he was generally considered a disappointment, to my understanding. So it was good to hear Tony say that he's been good recently for it to be a thing that you were disappointed by the timing of the injury. No injury is good. There's never great timing for an injury, but it seems to be especially cutting now from how it's coming across. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, low word, yeah.
I think the thing you've got to keep in mind, though, is Tottenham are not going to be perfect. They've just hit a good patch. But you have generally had a good patch outside of 1 or 2 games against the, what would you call, the elite 2, let's just say.
Yeah.
But I still think you're going to get 4th. Genuinely, I'm not just saying that because you're Arsenal fans. I think you'll get it.
Yeah.
But even if you don't, your upward trajectory is there and it's clear. Like, you've had 8th twice, and even if you got 5th, I'm not going to say that 5th is better than 4th, but it's probably easier to manage for Arteta in the sense that then he can get a few European games under his belt for Arsenal. I know he had some last year, but with this new upward swing, and then you can work towards getting into the Champions League more strongly, let's say. Because keep in mind, Newcastle are going to be buying, but Chelsea are they're in a bit of trouble, let's say. And I don't know. Tonight was a disaster for you, but I don't think it's a disaster long term. It's teams when teams win football matches, teams have to lose football matches, and it was your turn. That's it.
True.
It's been my team's turn a lot.
No, I hear you. No, it eventually was going to catch up to you as a squad, and this is our time. The trick was to use your windows wisely and make sure that it isn't a bigger issue than it has to be. I don't think that's what we did for
We
January.
did the complete opposite of that, Gary.
We expected to go with what we had, and it was enough. And not with the backups that we had coming in, not with the way that he had played them coming in. All of that basically shined a light on basically where the problems were. If Nketiah is the reason why the player you're bringing on, then there's an issue there, right? If you'd rather move players around than bring players in, then yeah. I mean, if you look at our bench the last couple of weeks,
You played Nketiah.
Yeah, we played Nketiah today. Yeah. He got on
the
today.
The full match?
No, he got on late.
Oh, well, that explains it. If you'd have started Nketiah, you'd have won 4-3.
Nah, it's not that simple. But let's go into our next injury. Probably the biggest one. At least coming into this game.
Yep.
I was not expected. This was a surprise to me for sure. Before the game even started, it's like, you know what? Tierney's not even in the lineup, and he's not even on the bench. He's got an injury, and as you hear more and more, he might be out for the rest of the season. And Scotland, all of Arsenal hates Scotland right now. They had him play he played 90 minutes in 2 games for a friendly, and look, and now he's back, and the injury is probably not a good one if that's the case. So, Tony, talk to me about Tierney, because I know you wanted to talk about him first, but here we go.
Yeah. From what Arteta said, the scans that they've had so far don't look good. Looks like he's be out the rest of the season. He's a CS specialist tomorrow, but way it sounds, he's probably done for the season.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks because we had 2 players that could play left back. Both AMN and Chambers could fill in there. Tavad just isn't quite good enough yet. We've seen that in his last 2 games. He's been awful. That's why he's been pulled off after 55, 60 minutes, both his last 2 performances. I don't know. We might have to go with a back 3, see if that works. To me, like you said, the margins are slim. Now we might be down 2 players for a season or even a month. If Partey's gone for a month, it's really hurt our midfield. That's where we've been selling the last few months since we've made the change. Got rid of Aubameyang, went with a slightly different formation, especially after Xhaka picked up the red card. He's been more forward as a 8/10 role. Way too far up the pitch for me, but that's where Arteta wants him. So, but to me, for Tierney, we always knew he's injury prone. I think we should have probably went for a little bit better backup than we did, or at least went with a senior one. Maybe next year we can try to get one on a free or somebody 28, 29 years old that's proven that we can fall back on. But right now we don't have much because Tavad just isn't doing it. Hopefully he gets it together.
Yeah, we can talk about Tavad separately, but we'll continue with the injuries now, and I'll kind of move this along a little bit as we'll talk about Tavad, because there's definitely a lot to talk about there. I guess some people were wondering if Partey actually came back not fully healthy and we pushed him. That would not be a surprise, would it? Right?
No.
Tomiyasu had an injury. We pushed him. Boom. Out the next game, and hasn't been able to
one
get
calf,
back.
2 other calf.
So I kind of feel like that's been an issue, at least with the way that we've handled some of our players, managed them. We'll continue on with Tierney. Tom, what say you on the tyranny? At least, what
The
your thoughts on that?
impression I get is that you've lost a leader in your back line. I get the impression that he organises your back four. Even if he's not directly involved, he's a significant part of the positioning based on the fact that you conceded 3 goals you shouldn't have really conceded when he wasn't in it. And I said earlier that happens in football. Can't always be perfect, but it comes across like that may have been preventable if he was there. I could be wrong. I entirely don't know, but I don't know. It's the sort of thing that may become more apparent in his continued absence, or it might just be a blip and his replacement is perfectly fine. I mean, hopefully for your sake that it's the case, apart from when you play against Leeds. Then I'd like you to start defending like you did tonight, obviously. That'd be quite generous of you all. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I for me, it's a little bit more than just Tierney's leadership. I think, some of it is other players just not carrying the weight that they needed to carry going into a game like this. So for me, it's a little bit more than just the one, just Tierney being out that caused us to have the issues that we did. We'll get into that as well. For me, the fact that we were using 2 of our second string, backs, right and left back, and Cedric and Devage meant that the center back pairing needs to be solid. And for me, I think we'll get into that, but that's kind of my concern there as far as why the game went the way it did. We'll get into that as we go through our what I call the perfect scenarios for us.
Can I ask you a question related to the game? Sorry, again, this can go to the chat as well. When you went 1-0 down, did you feel it was over as a contest? Like, not in the literal sense, but did you get a sense that you were going to fold?
Did I think I definitely did not see it. I definitely did not see a 3-0 thrashing coming. I believe that we'd have enough to come back, because the way that goal was scored, I think there was a lot of things going on in that whole situation. It looks similar to me, almost like how we kind of let the game get away from us when we played at Anfield and Liverpool. We kind of gave away a free kick. Yeah. They scored a goal, and then basically we kind of were hanging on, and then just eventually just started to melt. Tony, I don't know what your thoughts were after that first goal went in.
Yeah, we kind of been fighting back since we get behind, so I thought we could at least come back and get a draw. Really didn't think we'd get a win, but I thought the draw was still possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how I felt about going down a goal. Zaha was, as far as I was concerned, was having a game. I mean, he was on the ground a lot. Seemed like he was going to be on the ground a lot for that. When in that first part of the game, I just kept seeing anytime he got touched, he went down. And then when he got knocked over, I think it looked like it was Cedric, but it was actually White who brought him down. Like I said, the center back pairings it wasn't good today. But let's continue on with these 3 items. I don't think, we're talking the sicknesses, because that was the only other thing that affected us that need to be perfect for us, and essentially affected our bench. So coming into the game, Pepe went away on international duty. Actually had a good game, and then a so-so game when he played. So, you're thinking, all right, well, he scored only came back when he went away. Hopefully we'll see the same. Well, nope. The sickness bug got him. We'll find out what that is. Saka had the sickness bug going into the international break. Turned out it was COVID, and then
was it COVID?
He missed. Yeah, then he missed. He had to stay quarantined until he was ready to go, and came back. So the sicknesses affected us. That Pepe means we are down an attacking player coming off the bench, which we probably could have used today. But Tony, anything you have to say on Pepe?
He hasn't been used much. It'd be nice to have option coming off the bench. I would still kind of be crazy either try him or Smith Rowe as striker, see what happens. Because they're probably most two clinical finishers we have. Martinelli, for me, just doesn't have a first touch to be playing there in the middle. I think he does more on the left since he gets up there, gets ahead of players, can cross the ball, can cut it into players cutting in. But like you said, we had slim margins. Now we got 2 injuries, an illness for probably a couple weeks, and 2 injuries that might be the rest of the season. So it's gonna be tough sledding, maybe.
Yep. And we'll just I'm going to have to step away for a second, but Tom, I'll let you speak. Go ahead and you can talk about the injuries for a second, and I'll be right back.
I still think you'll be all right long term, though. It's one of those nights that happens in football. You're the away team. You're on live Monday Night Football. It's meant to be a showcase for Vieira. Look how great he's doing, etc. And shit happens.
I don't know. Top 4 might be slipping away, Tom. I don't want to play on Thursdays again.
I think you'll get it, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's possible you won't. But the reality is one of you will get it because it ain't going to be the scum.
Nope.
And you'll be fine.
I don't want to play on Thursdays, Tom. I don't want to play on Thursdays in Europe.
No, Thursday's not that bad.
Thursdays in Europe's not that fun.
You might need it, though. You got to keep in mind that's a route into the Champions League.
Yeah, we have to, and after next season, we have to be in there because then it goes to a new format with 10 group stage games, more money in that. So
yeah,
next season, we definitely have to qualify for Champions League.
Yeah, it's just football's changing for the worse, I suppose, or the better if you're certain teams. Depends how you look at it.
True. Sorry, I don't know where you guys went off.
Mainly talk about injuries and kind of top 4 that's still there.
All right. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that, but we'll continue. So I think as far as perfection today is what happens when we don't have everything run perfectly for us. So next up we will go from this, and one thing that did stand out I think we can comment on is we'll look at the start in 11, and one of the things that did surprise me initially basically was the fact that Martinelli didn't start. All right, and I can understand the initial thoughts were, well, he played in Brazil and high altitude and all of that, so that's why he needed to recover from it. I didn't think he started any of the games. I thought he definitely came off the bench for the first match, but I don't remember if he even played the second one. The high altitude.
And he had Gabriel too. If Gabriel was ready to go, the
Gabriel didn't go. Remember, he has a child, so it's different for him. So I think for me, Martinelli, if he's a starter, he's a starter. He's going to have to learn how to play these types of games where he goes off and comes back. Why not now? But I understand. For me, I don't mind if they switch off because for me, you get different things from both players. So
I suppose we could get both of them in to start the game.
Yeah, that's a different story in a set. Do you have anything to say on that one, Tony, as far as Martinelli not starting?
It wasn't a surprise. Like I said, it's a long trip. And you have a high altitude game in there too. But just with traveling back and forth between South America is a lot. Being gone for 2 weeks, not much time with the team. But it seems like he always got to the legs, but he really never has it for more than 70 minutes. So I'm fine for him if he just plays a half or whatever. It didn't really bother me that he didn't start.
If this John is still around listening, who would you have dropped to play Martinelli? Because from what I know, you're not going to drop Lacazette because he's got seniority over a lot of the younger players.
Yeah,
you're not going to drop Odegaard.
Emil Smith Rowe usually came off the bench, and that's how it worked going in. For the last
Yeah.
number of games, the only time that Emil Smith Rowe started is when Martinelli was out. Usually for I think got a red card and stuff like that. That's the only reason.
But he scored an amount of goals where he's probably within his rights to knock on the door and be like, I've got 9 goals this season as a sub or whatever it is, and what I want to starting matches. I want to see what will happen if I start matches. And Arteta's probably in a position to go, yeah, you're right, actually. Let's give you a run of games in the side. It didn't work out tonight. But I look at that front four and I can see why he played it. But again, in hindsight, it's easy for me to sit here and go, I wouldn't have done this or I would have done that. But I can see why, in hindsight, that was picked.
Cool. And let me just say hi to the chat. I know John has been with us. The Assembled, welcome to the show. Why Not Sentiment has joined us, and we'll talk about basically, this is what happened. Super Mick. All right. Yeah, no, it was a bad day today. Part of me, as far as the way the game went, I'm not sure that was all on our Arteta. The game, there are things that he's done that made it a lot difficult for him today. Like I said, I don't believe in, what? Now, I think we're done with these 3. You guys, we have anything else to say on these 3 topics?
Nope.
I think we're done there. Yeah.
I just think Arteta kind of handcuffed himself in January.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that's come up, and we'll get into that, and you can see from my comment below.
Sorry, Mark has made the comment that I'm trying to get across is if he'd have played it the other way and had gone with Martinelli, then people would have been saying, why Emil Smith Rowe scored 9 goals this season, or again, whatever it is. Yeah. Why don't you pick him?
The reason why that's not really an issue is because we need somebody to come off the bench. He just happened to be a really good super sub. Martinelli, his game has been improving. He puts a lot more pressure on teams than Emil Smith Rowe does. Yes, his shooting isn't there, but neither was Emil Smith Rowe when he first started. He's gotten more games, and he's actually been able to still continue to score even though he hasn't been starting. So depending on how you look at it, he could go either way with either one. If you watch the Liverpool game for the first half of that game, Martinelli was doing things to Trent Alexander-Arnold that, not too many people can do. All right. They're not going to double and triple team and Mills Rowe. He's just not that style of play on that side of the pitch. So it's what they bring to the game. Martinelli would put a lot of pressure on the defense more than Emil Smith Rowe will.
Right.
And in my eyes, I don't know, Tony, if you have anything else different on Emil Smith Rowe versus Martinelli.
I think Smith Rowe is a better attacker. He gets more teammates involved. But as far as the defenses, I think Martinelli poses more of a problem because he's faster. He can get down the left side, create a lot of space. He's always open for through balls down the left-hand side. But his problem is that he doesn't really look up for his teammates. A lot of it just running straight up a goal or just running straight up the left flank.
Yeah.
But to me, I would just, like I said, with craziness I keep mentioning, see what happens with Smith Rowe in the middle.
Yeah.
Lock his up behind him. See what happens.
No, definitely. And so, like I said, things that came up for me and kind of highlighted in the game was how our right and left back played. For me, it's a combination of that whole entire back line. So for me, it's you can either choose your right and left backs in Cedric and Tavares or the center backs in White and Gabriel as being the problems for us today. For me, I needed somebody to stand up, and I wasn't expecting like a Tavares or a Cedric to do that, but I definitely was expecting my center backs to actually be probably playing their best game coming in. If we're going to have to go with the second strings on the outside,
it's probably both our worst games of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
especially Gabrielle. Gabrielle was poor. Of course, he had Tavares as a partner. I don't think really the communication was there like it is with Tierney and Gabrielle, because you always see them chatting. I think I kind of set up the defense, those two, along with Ramsdale, but I think it's mainly Gabrielle and Tierney that set up the defense. Whatever they were trying to do wasn't working because they kept killing us down our left side. Tavares wasn't there. Gabrielle was given a little bit too much space. They basically got all their goals from that side.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so this is, why not send him? I don't usually agree with him on some things, but this thing, like I said, I don't believe Tavares is the reason why we struggled today. We needed better support from the center backs for me. And when you don't get that, you saw what happened when Gabriel took a chance, right? Which was not necessary, was not warranted in that situation. You're down a goal. You don't need to take chances. He'd already just messed up on the clearance of the cross to give away the first goal. Tavares didn't help either, but the combination of the two on the day for those first two goals was just poor. The communication wasn't there, and that's what I think. The communication is one of the key things there. Tavares, I think, thought that on the first goal, I think he thought Gabriel was actually going to make the clearance. Because he jumped up there. So I don't know if at that point Tavares was thinking, I'm going to have to get to the goal line or not. But when you jump up like that, you got to make sure you get it because you're the center back. There's nobody there in the middle once you attack the ball like that. So he has to make that case. A second goal, same thing. Gabriel takes the risk and then punishes Tavares on it. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I'll let you go, Tom, in terms of, I don't know if did you see the game, by the way?
I saw bits. I saw bits of it.
If you saw the goals and you saw the two plays that stand out for me between that left side of the pitch.
There's a photo of the I believe the first goal was the header, right? And the ball comes across, and according to this photo, there's about at least 5 Arsenal players surrounding this one Crystal Palace player, and just I don't know how he got the ball, but it seemed like all the Arsenal players did their best to avoid the ball, and it just landed on his head. And it's not particularly good enough at that level, and it's obviously got to be something that's got to be worked on. Second goal, it was almost like Crystal Palace had turned into Barcelona for about 30 seconds, where prime Barcelona in like 2013 or something, where they were doing no-look through passes and they just cut you open like a hot knife through butter. I couldn't believe what I saw. And then, again, you got to cut that out. But these are things that happen in football. These are silly moments that happen, and you've got to try and minimise these things happening to yourself while you do it to the other team. And you're going to have moments this year where you do that to someone else, and they're going to be sitting there going, how did we let that happen? Like, I can think of a certain team in December who had to sit there 4 times and be like, how did Arsenal cut through us like that? While I cried on your stream about losing 4-1. And
that wouldn't be Leeds you're talking about, would it be, Tom?
It might be. It might just be Leeds that I was talking about. Because you're on the receiving end of that tonight, but I was on the receiving end of it before. And while you are sitting there going, that's a great goal we scored, the third goal, or the fourth goal, etc. I'm sitting there going, how did we let Arsenal do that to us? Whereas tonight, Crystal Palace are playing the role of Arsenal in that situation. And these things happen, unfortunately. Cool. They don't happen to Man United, unfortunately enough. So.
All right, so let me go back to the chats here. Miss Melina has joined us. Welcome, Miss Melina, to the show. Like I said, I always why am I smiling? I guess it's because I'll cry if I don't. The game, I was watching the game and just, you typically for the first 20 minutes, you're sitting there going, all right, we're just filling our way around here. We're just trying to, get kind of our, a little, get a little run in first, and we'll see how things pan out. And I don't like that at all. At some point, we need to come into a game and be able to smack somebody in the mouth, especially on the road. We needed that today based on what we had going on our side with the starters being out. And it just did not happen. As you can see on the bottom there, still talking about that the pairings for me. I actually thought Cedric played well today. Don't think he actually, did as much harm as Cedric did.
He was best out of the back four.
Yeah. So I think he did okay. Tavage, I think we can blame him if we want, because he did have some bad. I just don't think you can just expect him to come in after that first game and then actually perform for you. I just don't see how that works. We don't play him that often, and that's part of the problem. You players go out because of their form is poor. They stay out, and then all of a sudden they're asked to come in under duress in this case, and then perform.
That's the problem with Arteta's lineups in the cup games. He kept playing the normal starting 11 basically. Didn't do with fringe players, didn't do with squad players, didn't really do with academy players. So
you think
so
the
these
cup
guys
games are the
can't get
problem this year?
confidence.
You think the domestic cups are the reason why? Think how many we played.
I'm just saying they still played there. Saka should have been playing all those. Tierney should have been playing all those. It should have been some of our French players that haven't been getting much minutes. It's what it's for. Especially the League Cup. It's a second tier domestic cup. It shouldn't be that important. Only thing we had fighting for is getting a Champions League spot. Should have been our priority, so we should have been putting more importance on the league games. Give the guys a rest. I don't mean you've called for Saka's rest a million times. We're lucky he's escaped so far without an injury. But Tierney's injury prone, so you should be running out Tavage as much as you can. You know that Partey hasn't been fully fit since he's been here, except for the last 3 or 4 months. So then you play Zombie. Now you're going to have to play them players when they haven't been playing together. Get the chemistry down, get the communication down. And that's why it's a gamble that we sold the players and loaned out the players we did in January and reinforce. Room for error became much slimmer. Now it's even slimmer. Like I said, Arteta kind of handcuffed himself. But for me, you can't really blame Zombie. You can't blame Tavage because they haven't been given the time to mend in with the players to fit in. Like I said, hopefully they get the time next season, especially if we qualify for top 4. We'll have to bring in the academy players, use our friends players for to be in 4 cup competitions.
Cool. And we'll get into. I'll let you talk, Tom, a little bit about that back line. Whether if you, from what you saw in the game, whether it was the inside or the outside players that were probably more at fault. And the reason for me thinking of the center backs is not only are they the starters, but also at some point somebody's going to have to make the play, the stop. And for me, in this case, it needed to be the center backs, and that just did not happen. So, Tom, tell me about that back line, and if you were comparing the two sets of players,
Oh no, I would 100% want to know what your central pairing was doing during that game, because they are the two that are most prominent in your team. Like when you think of take away Kieran Tierney and you go, who are Arsenal defenders? They're going to turn around and say Gabriel and Ben White. So, and more so than that, I expect Gabriel to have seniority on him based on the fact he's been in your team longer. Take away the fact of the transfer fee for Ben White, but he's still gaining experience within that back line. And I think that they are going to have to consider tonight a trip to the woodshed and the learning tree, as some may say. And hopefully, for your sakes, it doesn't happen again anytime soon.
Definitely. Tony, you have anything else more to say on that back line?
Nah, I think we've covered that enough.
All right,
Really
cool.
nothing else to say.
Cool. So I think we will jump a little bit and we'll get into what the next subject. I know we haven't really gone through each segments of the game, but we've kind of talked about players, and it would be remiss not to start talking about at least Arteta. Arteta and how he performed today. And for me, it's not necessarily only about the things that happen on the pitch, but some of the things that didn't happen off the pitch that affected us. And as Why Not Sentiment said, now we're going to find out if the business that we didn't do in January is going to come back to haunt us. And so far, it looks like it could. But it is one game. I mean, we did lose to Liverpool, but who doesn't? So I wouldn't actually call that a negative on our part. But this game today, I think, is definitely a big negative, the way we performed today. And not only the way we performed, but once that first goal went in, at some point you thought we were going to maybe change things up a little bit, because they basically had our number for that first half, and we just couldn't get out of our own way. Stringing passes together and stuff like that. And Arteta wasn't able to make any adjustments mid-game, mid-half. Should I say in the first half? So we probably sat there and probably just took everything that we could get. And players that needed to wake up just weren't doing that. Tony, what do you got to say about Arteta in this respect for the game? Yeah.
Well, he's really kind of handcuffed. Really, only person he could impact the game coming off the bench was Martinelli. Other than that, you really didn't have anybody. And then he's to give you a solid performance if you need to finish out the game. If you have a lead or chasing the league, he can offer something. But down 3 goals, he wasn't much of an option. Few academy players that haven't played at all weren't there to play. Just, he kind of, like I said, he handcuffed himself in January, let go of 2 players that each one of them can play 4 or 5 positions. Each one can play left back. Each one can play anywhere in the midfield. Yeah, Chambers, who won Player of the Year at Fulham for central defensive mid, so he could have replaced Partey, give you something there. But that was Arteta's choice. It was a big gamble. It might have just blown up in his face if both Tierney and Partey are gone for the season. Then things are to be tough.
Definitely. Yeah. No, like I said, a lot of the things that Arteta didn't do are not the things that he did in the game. Came back to show their face today. Tom, I don't know what your thoughts are on Arteta, but any questions you have on the manager today in terms of how he, either performed or didn't?
I get the sense that he doesn't have. I don't think he has multiple plans in mind for various situations happening.
Yeah, he does. He has plan A, and plan A, Tom.
You just answered this question, Tony.
I know.
It feels like he doesn't know what to do unless it goes his way. If something goes his way, he's fine. But then that's like a lot of people. If things go their way, they're fine. Like he's not on his own.
Yeah, but most people do have a plan B.
A lot of people that are experienced have this. But then at the same time, my team's former manager is considered experienced, but he openly had only a plan A. So, although to be fair to him, he was experienced in the sense that he could have created a plan B. He just didn't want to. Maybe Arteta's the same.
Yeah, Do you have any?
I'm actually trying to find a list of Brighton's form because there was a comment about Potter being better than Arteta, and just it stuck with me because I don't believe that Potter is better than Arteta. I don't necessarily believe he's worse, but I see nothing about Brighton's recent form that suggests that they're doing well.
No.
Sorry, let me answer the assembled question because he's named me and makes me feel a bit famous. I'm sorry. Do you think Arsenal seem
Yeah,
focused
Mr. Tom, do you think Arsenal seems focused on this game? Palace has played exactly how we expected them to play. We just didn't seem up for it.
Well, that's kind of why I asked earlier if you felt like when you went 1-0 down that it was over as a contest. Like, was you up for it until they scored, or did the game kick off, the clock went 0-0-0-1, and it was just like, we ain't going to have this today? Because unfortunately, that does happen.
That happens to us several times after these international breaks. The players just aren't focused enough. But to me, I think we could have got a draw. I didn't feel like we were out of it until they had the second goal in the first half. But first goal, I think we were still in it. But after that point, I think the team folded. Just said, we're guys go out here, put out a shift. We're not going to try too hard. And basically, we're passengers the entire second half after Palace got their second goal.
I'd be interested to hear more about the XG king Graham Potter, who led his Brighton side to a 0-0 draw against Norwich. I want to know more about how he's better than Arteta.
Yeah, I will get into that. And, this is the comment about the lack of what we did before coming back to play.
Yeah, I want to be comparing him. I'd be comparing Vieira and that.
Yeah, and
Vieira got 4 points against City and 4 points against Arsenal this year. I think it's quite a bit about him with the team that he has.
How many points did Vieira get against Leeds? Duck egg. 0. Yeah? None. Because we beat them.
Yeah.
They came to our patch and we beat them and we beat them and we beat them. No, we beat them once.
There you go. Nice. So that is Mark's comment here about
Tom got fired up there.
We were missing players. They were missing players. They're players that were missing. The ones that came in actually performed well, right? IU actually scored a goal for what I think it was the first time in like 50 matches or something like that. So once again, Arsenal does what it always does. They provide presence to those in need. And there you go. We did it again. There was something that you had said, and we might have a special guest come in and chat or screen with us. So we'll see if that works out. This is another comment from Mark in terms of the injuries and the adjustments. That's all on Arteta, right? I mean, you have to deal with players not being around. So that can't be.
It's like that, is it, Mark?
Yeah.
It's like that, is it?
Yeah.
It's part of managing.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about Arteta, he definitely has to be able to play with and without certain players, right? And he's had to do that. He's been forced to do that. And he sometimes hasn't come out doing the right thing or changing the scheme to fit the players that he has. And that's what you got there. This is a question I guess I'll start answer is, and I'll let you guys answer as well from Mark in terms of do you think the pressure got to the team tonight? I don't think so for me. I think this was more of preparation of your squad going in. You had 2 weeks to plan for this team. It wasn't like we did not know how Crystal Palace was playing. It wasn't as if they hadn't – I think they hadn't actually lost a game in March. So it wasn't like they were on a similar run to us in terms of not losing many matches. And, Arteta, got manager of March, and Crystal Palace really hasn't lost in a while. So, and their last match, they looked pretty good, right? So I don't think it was the pressure. I just don't think we're prepared and we don't have the depth to handle situations like we had today. Tony, I'll let you go on that one.
Yeah, I think we've seen in October what they had to offer We were lucky to get the point out of that. Should have been a loss. Lacazette made his first appearance of the season, got a 95th minute goal. Our season kind of got better from that point on. But this is definitely a game we should have been prepared for. Missing a few pieces. Arteta just doesn't seem to be able to come up with a game plan off his cuff. Can't make in-game changes much. Doesn't want to make halftime substitutions. I would have brought Tavares off at half. I'd probably change formations. I probably would have went with a back three, even though I don't like putting Holding out there. But you put back three back there, that serves up your back line. You don't have to worry about your fullbacks because you have three people sitting there defending. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about players that have left, but we don't have them, so you have to deal with what you got. So we can talk about all the players that have left, but we can't we don't talk about that when we talk about scoring because we had an answer for that. So same thing for me is when you're losing a Chambers and a Maitland-Niles, we probably had an answer either on the bench or in the way that you manage the squad. So. Taham, I'll let you go ahead and speak to this as well. As far as any pressure, do you think the pressure got to Arsenal today, or Arteta, I guess specifically, maybe? I don't know if that's
no. I think it's a bad day at the office. I don't think you're quite under the gun yet. So there's 10 games left, or roughly. So you're fine. Don't get me wrong. If this was in 5 games' time and this happened, I'd be a bit like, maybe the finishing line is a bit too close for your liking, sort of thing. But nah. I'm not suggesting that tonight went well for you, but it could be. It's not like you've lost and you've totally fell out of your top 4 race. You're just now in a top 4 race.
Yeah.
And you're slightly less further forward in it than you was this time last week. That's all.
Yeah. No love from Why Not sentiment at all. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you feel about whether the game was too much for Arteta. Why not? Because I know that you're always on the far spectrum as far as the way the game has gone. Like I said, I don't believe this game on itself is an issue. Like you said, it's going to be more of a case where these 3 games, I've always said these were the easiest games we're going to have on our schedule in a row. The rest of the season, we're not going to have too many kind of 3 games sets where you can look at and go, you know what, we have a chance to get points in all 3 of them. They're going to be a struggle. This was definitely one that we're expecting to get at least a point out of. I wanted 3 because I think we needed to put more pressure on the teams below us, and now we are one of those teams below. so that's even makes it even worse. And you know what? I hope, Stephen, this game does not smell like that January form. I mean, I think the January form might have been a little, we had 4 cup games or 3 cup games in that area, plus a game against City. So I think in that respect, I don't think it's the same, but you need to come and play against every team that you have on your schedule. We just did not do that in any one of those 4 games that we lost in that area at that point in time. And then I think Burnley we drew right in that same time period. So just overall bad January, even when we did have a chance. Right in January, I see loss, and a draw. Yeah, the draw. We had 2 draws. Of course, one was in a cup game, so it doesn't matter. But then the other draw was against Burnley. So yeah, really poor January. Not starting out this one any better. 2-0 loss. We started out that January lost with a 2-1 loss to City. Guess what? We didn't have in that game that we had in this game. No cards, but we did have what looks like 2 injuries now. So I think that sounds worse because there's no chance for them to come back. We're supposed to have a guest, but I don't see him, so we're just gonna have to continue on. And for me, there was a comment here, and I think we'll get into that. So we talked about the back line, talked about the injuries, and I think another point, and I guess we'll talk about is probably the midfield. Outside of Partey getting injured, I mean, for the game itself, we needed to control the middle, and for me, I don't think we did a good job of that today. We put a lot of pressure on our back line because of that, and in past games, Partey has been really strong in front of that back line. Today, not so much. I think, as somebody commented earlier, Gallagher has does what he always does, puts a lot of pressure through that middle, and once again did it today, and Arsenal paid for it. Tom, I'll go to you because Tony's looking away. But as far as that midfield pairing of Xhaka and Partey, and I guess Erdogan, the way we kind of lay ourselves out, what do you have to say about that?
It sounds like it would be harder to find something that went right with your performance tonight. Like, you can go through all these different things, but like ultimately you lost the match 3-0. I mean, it's like, I imagine that they didn't do well because you lost 3-0. To put it with the most kindest, most respect on it, I can't imagine there's anything that any of the players did where you can sit there and be like, but this is something to build on. No, they've all got to do their job a lot better. And to be fair, you've got the opportunity to do that on Saturday at home to Brighton. And if you beat Brighton 3-0 at home, then it undoes this. And that's the best way to wash a defeat out of your mouth is to win one.
Cool. And I guess what I will do, I'm going to interrupt you, of course, because we do have a guest. Hopefully he'll be with us for a little while. But hello there, Matt. How you doing? Welcome to the show. You're muted. Let me unmute you. You're gonna have to unmute yourself, I think.
Let's hear Matt fired up.
He can't get his unmute off. I don't think I unmuted him. Right? I can't unmute you, so you're muted still. Don't know. Can't get himself unmuted.
Right, can y'all hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now. I don't know if we want to hear you now, but we can.
But he's gonna be fired up. He's gonna be fired up, Gary. I bet you that.
Look at him. He's just holding it in. Did you get to see the game, by the way?
No, but when I saw the score, you saw my reaction when I saw the score. I just, like I told y'all before, man, I told y'all, 12 to 15 points, and now you can just add an extra 3 to that. So now it's 15, 18 points. So these are the games that I told y'all we could not lose, man. You got to win these games. These are the games, because the Chelseas, the Man U's, the Tottenhams, those are all bulky games, man. This was a game that we should have came in focused. And I know someone's going to make the excuse, say, well, man, we were coming off international break. Doesn't matter. Spurs did what they were supposed to do. Other teams doing what they're supposed to do. And we know we're in a run for this top 4. So if I had to put a percentage on it now, where we are as far as where we are is making making the top 4, man, I'd say we've lost massive ground. And then we have to go back. I heard Tony talking earlier about the manager. We got to go back and look at this manager. He's had time off. It's not like he's been working. He knows what's coming up. He should have had the guys prepared, ready to roll. This is a mentality.
What happened in the first game? You seen how they outworked us, outplayed us, and didn't have anything prepared for this one.
Yeah. So we're at a phase of this season now, fellas, where we've got to have the mentality. It's all mentality now. And this is what I was afraid of, is that we don't have a manager that has that mentality to get the guys going. I mean, y'all saw the quotes last week. Y'all saw Conte coming out saying, 8 cup games, 8 finals. You got to have the mentality to get over the hump. I told y'all this in the beginning of the season. This guy is not the man to get us over the line. He's not the man. And so we're going to have to be going fighting the uphill battle and relying on other teams to do dirty work for us. Yeah, this, we were going into the break. Gary and Tony, what were we going into the break? We were like what? 4 points ahead or something like that? 3?
Yeah, 4 points.
4 points. I mean, now look where we are. And I told you, I said goal differential was going to play a part. Now, look at the goal differential now. Gary, did I not bring this up at the beginning of the season? Did I tell y'all? I told you. And here we are. Here we are, man. This team, I'm telling you, man, Mikel Arteta, man. I saw it all week. Oh, man, what do y'all got to say now? Arteta's got the job done. I told y'all, I said. It's not the man for the job, man. It's not the man for the job. We need wholesale replacements. We need to do some spring, quote unquote, cleaning in this team. We need goal scorers.
What are you gonna say there, Tony?
I said we're not gonna do it though. We're not gonna do what's needed because we don't have the team structure to do it.
Yeah. That's it, man.
Trust the process, Matt. Trust the process.
Yeah.
I know that's what they said all year long, man. Trust the process, man.
Yeah. So we were just talking about the midfield, and there wasn't really much to say there. For me, we also can talk about the front four and what they delivered to us today. We needed to score goals. We can't say they did not have opportunities to score. We did. It didn't come enough. It didn't come enough in the first half, but we definitely had opportunities in the second half to score. Good looks, a lot of them good looks. We needed to place ball much better. Sometimes we didn't even look like we were ready to shoot. And that's always been my problem, is that we never prepare ourselves a couple, seconds before the ball comes, or expect the ball to come through and be ready to shoot. And we didn't do that today. And if you looked at, we took more shots than they did. They were much, as Tom said, more clinical with their shots. They, I think 5 out of 6 shots were on target for them. 3 out of 12 were good for us in terms of on target.
That's exactly what happened, yeah.
And for me, it's not necessarily that. And I know, we said sometimes we need to get about 20 shots. We need to get really good shots. And I think we got a lot of good shots today. I mean, there's that one segment where Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe both had shots within 5-10 feet of the goal, and they were stopped both times. One of those has to go in this type of a game. And yes, we can say they're young and all, but guess what? They've been scoring goals, and they just have to get better at it. We've been depending on them so far, so we're going to have to continue to do that. I guess I'll start with you, Matt, in terms of our front four. What are your comments on the front four? I know you didn't see the game, but like I said,
what is that? What is there to talk about that I hadn't seen already? That's manifested itself today.
That's the crazy part, right? You don't see a game, and you can still probably communicate what's the issue.
Oh, it would not be the Arsenal way if it was not that way, fellas. Yep. I mean, I told y'all, Lacazette needs to be sold. A lot of these guys should have been moved on. We're at a point now. I told you we're gonna have to make some wholesale changes, and I'm it's just Tony and Garrett. And Tom, thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it, my man. They're filling in for me. But I just want to say, I just don't think this guy. I mean, y'all see it in my face, the frustration. I mean, I was coming back home from work, and Garrett knows what's going on here with my situation. So I was getting home, and when I looked up, I said, "Oh, well, it's after 5. Let me see the score." And I just literally just stopped and said, "We couldn't put anything in the goal. Nothing. Absolute 3-0. That is a shellacking. We have got to sell Lacazette. All of this work rate stuff, that's not, we need goals. You need to go with goals. We need to go find, you need to be drastic. Move people around. Put people where we can, whatever you can get working. But see, I told y'all, Arteta is the type of manager who consistently walks right into luck. And when the luck runs out, it really runs out.
He got lucky with Smith-Rowe last year. This year he got lucky after he benched Aubameyang. things changed. It was nothing he did. It's just the players came together without him.
Yeah, I just saw Spawny's comment. I mean, not necessarily, man. I mean, in the last 2 years, he really just hadn't provided much. I mean, it's a spark here or there, man, but we need consistent. We need goal score. We need a guy that can score 20 to 23 goals. Well, Matt, we had that with Obama. No, I'm talking. That is bridge under water under the bridge. Now, we need to go out and get a young player that can score.
Yeah.
Can at least give us 14, at least 14 to 20 goals.
What do you do for the rest of the season, though? Would you try ESR up there?
I could do that. I mean, at this stage, you would have to try something drastic. You got to get something going. You got to get some goals scoring from somewhere. I'd rotate around. Oh, yes, Emma Smith Rowe's not working? All right, well, Pepe, you get up there. I'd rotate around till we get something that looks decent. At this stage of the game, he's got to be drastic. He's got to be. You don't have time to try four games, going over and over, But we've had, I mean, I understand what Spawny's saying. We've had veteran leadership for the last 4 or 5 years. I don't think people understand that. Lacazette's been in this team for how long, y'all?
6 years.
And how many goals has he scored in the last 2 years?
Scored 12 last year, 3 this year, so 15 in the league.
That's 15 goals in 2 years. That's unacceptable. We're at the end of the season, and he's only gotten 3 goals. I mean, let that sink in. A striker playing for Arsenal Football Club in 2022 has 3 goals. You gotta go and try something different at this stage because top 4 depends on it. If you don't want top 4, you want to play on Thursday nights in Jerusalem, there's no problem. There's no problem.
No more Thursday nights, Matt.
Yeah, if you want to,
Thursday nights again.
Yeah, if you want to go down there to Baghdad or wherever on Thursday night and play, then go for it, man. But if we're talking about getting out of this massive Champions League rut, and you've got a chance to do it, because let's just be frank, each of these teams above us are going to strengthen, and Lord forbid if Salah resigns that contract. God, I mean, when I saw that this morning, I was like, oh no. That means we got to deal with Liverpool and City again, and then you got to hope, Chelsea. You don't know. Well, Chelsea is a bogus because you don't know what the new owners are going to do and how that's going to affect them. But still, I mean, you think you'd be a fool to think United's not going to at least get it together at some point. I mean, it's a clown show this year, but they're going to eventually get together. Conte's going to want to spend money. He's going to be crying about splashing the cash. We've got to make some moves, fellas. We got to make some moves, man, because it is absolutely scandalous that we're this far into the season and we've got a striker that has only scored 3 goals, and it's going down. Gary, if I was to do a graph, you could see it going down, going in the from the left top position all the way down to the right, and we all know that's not how we want it to be.
No, definitely. And in terms of our front 4, I think, we might have to just go, for example, with our best players playing this thing out, seeing this thing out. And one comment that did come up, I don't know if John is still around, but this is something we've done in the past, and we might just have to do this. We might just have to do this just to keep our best players on the pitch. I know
what's hurting us, Gary.
Yeah,
you know what's hurting us. We don't have the utility man. We don't have Maitland-Niles that we could slap back there.
Yeah,
right back.
Tony's been bringing it up that we don't have Chambers, we don't have Maitland-Niles, but I think we might actually have to do this. We might have to, Saka might have to move back, which is not a problem. It just means he's not going to be as attacking as all, but sometimes he's versatile and he can play that position. So, for me, talking about the front 4 and how they did today, Saka could have done better. I think so. But I think as a whole, the team just wasn't good. And when we got our opportunities, we did not finish. So, Tom, I'll let you speak on at least the front 4 and let me know how you feel about that,
It was like we were saying earlier about who do you play out of Martinelli and ESR? They're going to always put Lacazette in front because behind him's always going to be young, inexperienced players, and you need that older head on the shoulders at that end of the pitch. Realistically, especially at that level, because calm them down a bit. Whether that was right or wrong, that's what he's going for when he picks that. I'm more concerned. I was looking at Tottenham's fixture list, and I basically, part of the reason I've sat here and gone, "Oh, you losing to Crystal Palace, it's not as serious as usual think it is. Oh, don't worry about it." It's because I've sat there for the last hour thinking, Spurs, they're just going to be Spursy. They're going to find a way to fuck this up because they're Tottenham. They've always got a silly defeat in them. But I'm looking at their fixtures, and I didn't realise they end at Norwich for a start, and so you need to have that sewn up by the time they play Norwich. Before that, they've got Burnley at home, but then their third from last game is you guys. It's been rearranged for 12th of May. You have to beat them. That's not even. There's no. If this happens or that happened, you get a draw. It's not the end of the. No, you have to beat them.
Yeah, we definitely have to beat them, but it won't matter. That game in May won't matter if April goes the way of a January, and that's kind of where we're not there yet, but we are starting that trend. As somebody said, we're trending, and the way we play today, and it only gets worse for the squad. It doesn't get worse for the team just yet. We'll see how they respond. But for the squad, we're starting to lose. People are dropping like flies, right?
Well,
Tomiyasu is still not back. Partey might be out for an extended amount of time. Tierney right now probably will be out for the rest of the season. We don't have the depth to handle that. We do have players that are versatile. Putting Saka back on the back line isn't a good answer to the problem, but it's the best answer we have. We see it all the time. Players sometimes having to adjust and play to what's available to the squad at that point. I mean, based on what I saw today, I would like to think Saka would have done better than Tavage, maybe, I don't know, but the problem wasn't really on the wide players anyways on that back line. It was the middle ones for me anyways. But as far as the front, those front four, they have to be clinical. They have to hit the net. They have to put a shot on goal. I did see some new people join us. Big Gunner has joined us. There was a comment that did come up, and we'll talk about that. Where is it? Let me find it here, and then I'll let you guys talk to that one. Essentially, so I'll let Matt. I'll let you speak to this one. But essentially, right now, we're not out yet. We are in fifth, and depending on how these next two games go, we'll see where we are. Right now, we're sitting solidly, I believe, we're sitting solidly right now in fifth spot. No matter what happens, we've got 2 games in hand on West Ham. We have to get 6 points out of our next 3 games. For me, we have to. This is the pressure. We had a game that I think we needed to get something out of today, and we just did not do that. The next 2 games, those are pressure games. We need to come out, play. Brighton, they should have no thought about getting anything from us. Nothing. Southampton, I think we play after that. Nothing as well. They get nothing. Right? Today, the way that Crystal Palace played, that's the way we're going to have to play the next 2 games. Constant pressure for 90 minutes with whoever plays. We blow them out of the park in the beginning of the game, and we don't look back. But if Arteta doesn't get Europe, he's definitely gone in my eyes. Matt, tell me.
No, not under this regime. They'll keep it. I mean, what you want me to give y'all some kind of feel good story or something? Gary, what you want me to give motivational? Hey, man, we're gonna scour the depths of Europe for a manager that can lead us to the promised land. No, they're gonna keep it. They're gonna keep him. They're gonna probably give him 100.
We seen a right coach tonight. We seen a right manager tonight across the sidelines that we didn't interview twice. That I think would probably reject us.
Tony, what does he have that Arteta doesn't have?
He's got more passing. He's got plan Bs.
Experience.
He's got the experience.
Experience.
Like you said, in every team, he's shored up the defense the first year, improved the team dramatically the first year, all three teams. Got a newly promoted, or not promoted, but new MLS team to the playoffs their second year.
Yep.
He's done good everywhere he's been.
So, I mean, this is the problem. This is a steak sandwich we're going to have to sit down and eat because this is their doing. I don't see the Crockett regime letting him go at the end of the season if we don't get into Europe. Now, I can see them possibly letting him go at the beginning of the season because that's how dumb we are. We'll do that. We'll keep him all the way to the beginning of the season, and then we'll dump him out the door probably the third or fourth game. But by that time, all of the good managers will be gone. You know, it'd be a massive embarrassment for the club. But you know what, guys? Let's just be frank. Let's just be real. We're used to this as Arsenal fans, man. We're used to this. We always get, whenever the pressure's on towards the end of the season, we find a way. We look for it.
Because we don't have the right mentality.
Yeah, I told you, it's a mentality thing.
Vieira would have got that for us. Or Simone.
Yep.
Takes that type of coach.
Well, it's a mentality thing, man. And I just don't think this guy, for me, if you're asking me if I wanted to get rid of him, he'd been out probably tonight, man. 3-0, man, in a title. I mean, this guy, come on, bro. 3-0, and you got to go for Europe. I mean, damn, man, get a draw. Take the 1-1. Get out of there. No, 3-0. That means you hadn't even came up with a decent plan. You hadn't watched any film. You just thought you were gonna come out and whack the dog, man. Yeah, this is ridiculous. And as Tony just said down there, I mean, you got to think about it. We hadn't played any cup football in 2-3 months. It's unacceptable across the board for us.
Earliest exit since 89-90 out of the cups.
Yeah. So I
there's no excuses. So that's why I'd one up what you'd say. I'd say no top 4, no Arteta. He'd be out the door if it was me.
I'm like you.
Kroenicke's not there to do it. Me and Matt would get rid of him, but they're not hold fast to him. They believe in him. That's what scared me at the beginning of a season when we lost our first 3 games. You had Lee Dixon saying that the Kroenicke's were willing to give him 2 more years.
And Tony, this is after they allowed him to splash the cash with $250. I mean, we spent $250 million.
Yep.
Under this manager.
$50 million in the summer, and what?
Yeah, but see, I see what John's saying. John is like keeping it in perspective. People forget that's the same Brentford team that beat us, by the way. People
Let's not forget that one.
Brentford's beating they've slayed some giants this year, man. They've done some slaying, and this is their first year. And I guarantee you that their team, they come in, their manager has them at a different mindset than what we are. Our mindset is the manager's arrogant. He thinks he knows it all. He doesn't understand situational football. And if I saw it earlier in the chat, somebody was talking about how defensive we are. Yeah, we play defensive. The one time we played champagne attacking football was under the Alpine Alp. And that's when I told y'all, that's when we played total football. We played Netherlands 1995-94 football. We was champagne. We were rolling. And what happens? Arteta comes back in. We get a few bounces our way. All is well. We'll go back to what we did before. We'll just play, as Gary calls it, safe football, and then we'll see. We get 1 point. We'll just back off and just play defense to try to get out of there.
True.
And we all know as Arsenal fans, man, that we pride ourselves on attacking football. Cool. I think we all would accept this a little bit easier if it was 4-3, 3-2, 5-4, 6-5. But when you 3-0, no, come on.
Yeah. let me continue on here. But yeah, this and Max, I hear what you're saying, but the swings are just too big. The swings are just too big sometimes, and this is a big swing for us. We coming into to me, this is no different than the Brentford game. We're coming in, we have some adversity to start the game. So with adversity, you should cater your team to that and make sure that, guess what, they come ready to play, and you don't have what happened to us today happening. Brentford, same thing, came into that game, adversity to start the game as far as players not being available. You knew what you had in your squad, and you knew how they need, and somebody needed to speak up and say, this is how we're probably going to have to play now, because we are missing certain pieces to the puzzle. Same thing happened today, and we did not answer the call. We came out flat, and we paid for it. Tom, I'll let you speak on, we're talking about, there's the game there. That comment that kind of struck me. That's why I brought it up. But the question also is whether or not, if Arteta, I know we can talk about, KSC not doing what they need to do. But in reality, what do you think should happen to Arteta if Arsenal is?
Well, it depends on how big a failure you consider not getting in Europe to getting in certain European competition, because obviously you want the top four, but how big a failure do you consider the Europa League or the Europa Conference League and things like that? Now, I get the feeling from that it's top four or nothing is the impression I get from him, and as Tony has said. And I think ultimately you're going to reward him if you do finish fifth, and you're going to go to him, why don't we give you more money to continue on your trend? Because in their mind, if fifth is still trending upwards.
The season was over, we were already talking about doing it before the season's over.
Tom nailed it, man. Tom said, I couldn't have said it any better, Tom. That's exactly how it's going to play out, my friend. That's exactly how it's going to play out, because they're going to see top they're going to see fifth place as success based off of last season. They're going to see this progress. They're going to say, oh well, we didn't make it last year, but we made it this year, so we're climbing the ladder. He's exactly correct.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, see, for me, the goals have to change, right? If you're not scoring and I put you in front of the goal and I expect you to score, then you should score, right? If the way the team is playing, the way we've been playing, there's an opportunity for us to get top four, then the goals have to change, because this is, these opportunities don't come too often, right? This is where we are right now. We have an opportunity to get fourth, and we should be playing to get top four, and that's one. We'll keep going back. It's like a broken record. That's why the January window for me was really important, because you did have an opportunity to say, you know what, we have some answers for the problems that we have. We'll get players out, but we need to bring somebody in. Somebody needs to answer some of, we need to have an answer for some of the questions, not all of them, but some of them. We saw every other team go out there. Maybe they spent more than they needed to, but guess what? If we get some top four, it's worth it, right? It's not wasted money if you can get something out of it, and if it increases your odds. We needed to increase our odds to get, I think, top four, and we didn't do that in the winter break. Tony, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say on Arteta coming and going, depending on where he finishes? And then we'll move on to. I do have one more comment here.
I don't really have too much more to say. Okay. I said, it's top four or out for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to reward him for anything.
Okay.
Like I said, we're out of the cup games early. Only thing we had to focus on was a league.
I do think it's possible. Sorry, Tony, to interrupt. I do think it's possible to both acknowledge that fifth is trending upwards for you as a club, and accept that as fans, you gentlemen, as fans, it won't be good enough for you, because you want fourth, and the prestige that comes with that competition.
Yeah, I was going to say,
not playing Thursdays.
Yeah, we got to be in a place for it before it comes up with 23, 24 seasons when the format changes.
Yeah,
you got 10 group stages. We definitely have to be in the Champions League then.
Yeah. The reason why I think it needs to be brought up that way is because if you don't take advantage of the chances that are put in front of you, guess what? Does Leicester City win a championship? Right? They had a run going. They were in first well before early enough in the season where people thought, how are they going to be able to hold on and continue to do this? And guess what they did? Yes, they were able to hold on and keep doing it. We were in the same situation. We were in fourth with games in hand, and I think at least a 3 or 4 point, gap. Right? You have to take advantage of them. They don't come around. Right? You don't want to. The whole point, DWTT stands for "Don't waste the trip." Guess what? You got
You know what we did, Gary?
you got bumped to first class. That's why
Gary,
you're sitting at the front of the plane right now.
No.
Gary,
After
do you
today,
know what
we're
we
full
did?
flat.
We wasted the transfer market. That's what we did.
We put today. We had a flat tire and it slowed down our trip a little bit, right? But
Now we got two flat tires.
We
with
got a
those
spare,
injuries.
so we're gonna have to use it and hope it hang and push it
Two
to the limit,
spares.
right?
Two spare
So-
tires, Gary.
So, like I said,
Parquet
that's
and Tyranny.
that's where I
Could be
go with
worse,
that one.
though. At least you're not Everton.
No,
Thank God.
it's always could be worse, but it always could be better. All right. So we can't say it
Yeah.
could be worse and never say, it could be better, because it can be. That's why we want the best for our teams. There was a
No, I
comment
mean,
Why
here.
we're all so passionate about
You
it.
would still have Usmanov, and you'd be in big trouble.
Maybe we'll have some trophies and the people wouldn't feel so bad about it at that point,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening with Chelsea fans, right?
I think Chelsea's happy with their 20+ trophies under him.
Yeah.
We would have been happy if Usmanov gave us 20 trophies.
Yeah, so this question came up, and I let you guys answer it too. The Assembled says, DWTT, after watching Arsenal today, did you see anything from Arsenal that would worry any team in the Premiership? And no, nothing today.
Midfield,
Nothing
not with
today. Will, but we have shown that we can do it. All right, we have shown that there is something about us that once in a while you will be threatened by what we can and can't, what we can do on the pitch. So it's not necessarily that what I saw today matters as much as do I see it. If I see it in the next 3 games, then yes. If we come out of the next 3 games and we don't have 6 points, I'll be concerned, because I think we need to.
Which
So I'll let you go ahead, Tom.
it's still implied that if yous were a bit more clinical, yous would have been in the game, but you weren't, so you wasn't. Ultimately,
yeah.
I mean,
if you don't score, if you don't take a shot, you don't score. If you don't hit the net, then you didn't score.
It's not like you weren't trying to test them. Like, you had 12 shots, 6 on target. Like, that's 50% target success, but no 0% goal success, which is actually the one that matters. But it would be less worrying, or it'd be more worrying for you if you lost 3-0 and you had no shots on goal.
Yeah,
Then
the
it
last
would be like
game we only had 8 shots on goal. We've been trending down the last 3 or 4 games.
Did you win that game?
I can't even remember that.
We lost 1 game out of 6 going into this game today. So yeah, and we lost to Liverpool. So that there's a certain games that you don't, your expectation to win it's slim, and that was Liverpool. But we did win 5 out of 6. As poorly as we played, we we played poorly, but we did play good in certain areas. Today, not so much anywhere. I mean, like you said, out of the 11 players who played well, we weren't clinical up top, which is our strength. We weren't good in the middle of our back line, which is, we have our starters there. We should have been good there. They weren't that good. Our backs on the outside of the back line, not so good. Midfield, what did we get from them? Right? Partey did not have a good game today. I think Xhaka just disappears because of everybody else that's going on there. So we don't miss him.
He doesn't have a role. He's just up there drifting. So it's
not a threat to us when he doesn't play well, because like you said, he's far up the pitch. So I kind of felt like, you know what? As a whole, the team was terrible. Not too many people stood out. More people stood out. For the
Sacco was the
negative
only one
reason.
that had a decent game, I'd say.
Yeah, Saka was okay, but he needs Saka for me. He was okay, but he needs to finish.
Yep.
He needs to finish, and we depend on him to do that. And we can't say he's young, so we'll give him a break. No, we expect him to score, take shots, and make them. We are coming up. It's been 90 minutes here. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll let everybody get their last say.
That's a fast 90 minutes, Gary.
Yeah, it was 90 minutes, and yeah, Matt, thanks you for joining us. I know it was a little tough for you to get out here, but I'm glad you did. We'll
Matt was too fired up not to make it, Gary.
Yeah. He just the score is more. You didn't need to say anything more than the score. But Matt, Tony, I'll let you go first here as far as anything to say on our way out of here.
Yeah, just time to button up the hatches, get everything tight. I think we're going to have to change the formation a little bit. Midfield needs to change. You're going to have 2 defensive guys there, one that can drop back and cover, since we'll probably be without Tierney, without Partey. So things are going to have to change in the middle. We've got to be clinical. That's my thing. I can keep saying just be clinical. And we're going to have to put out players out there, give them a proper support. Hope the communication clicks, because they should have been playing in the cup games, but they weren't, so they don't have the experience they need. Little room for error now. Now we got to go out and get 3 points in basically every match. We set out, try hard to get it.
Cool. I'll let you go next, Tom. Tell me. Hey, go ahead. Your last.
Basically, I just feel there's a lot of football to be played between now and May. You're not the only team that are going to get a result that doesn't make you happy. Hopefully, Tottenham will be in a situation where it happens to them more than it happens to you, mainly because I don't want you all to kill me, and also because I don't like Tottenham. So that's quite handy.
Tom, we won't kill you. We'll just reveal the location of your dungeon.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that, though. The police would be interested to find that information. Anyway, but seriously, I think you'll be okay, but you really genuinely have to give Brighton a bit of a hiding on Saturday. Otherwise, you are in trouble.
Most definitely. And as you know, you can find Tony not only here on Mondays but on Sundays and Thursdays on Arsenal Fan Circle. So we'll be on Thursday. So we'll check you out there, Tom. Outside of being on here, not semi-regularly. We'll see how that goes. You will find him on Fridays on the Stupid Lolo, giving you tips on how to make some extra cash. If you have the money to spend responsibly, then you may be able to help you make a little bit more. And last but not least, I've got Matt. Welcome to the show. We didn't see you last week. We got to see you this week under probably the worst situation we could have, at least so far since February started. Tell me how you feel on the way out of here.
Well, I mean, it's a case of now, like I told you, we needed. I told y'all 12 to 15 points. And I was sitting there as Tom was talking. I went looked at the schedule. We need 18 to 21 points minimum. I mean, we have got a mountain to climb. So, we got to right the ship this weekend. Nothing less than a win is acceptable, and that's bottom line, man. I mean, Arteta's got to get it together and get it together quick. So that's my words, man.
Cool.
Short and sweet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Matt. And I'll just say thank you, everybody, for joining us today. What are we going to do if Tierney's out? That's the big question. And like I said, we do have a Saka who can fill that need. So maybe we'll do that. Everybody, thank you for joining us. The trip has ended here. We did have a bumpy ride going through this whole game. But next week, Brighton needs to pay. We have, a 5-goal difference right now. And We need to close that somehow. It may not matter if we win enough games, but we need to actually come out and perform, and that's the performance that I want to see. I always go performance over results most of the time, because if your performance is good consistently, then your results will follow suit. So we'll see how that pans out for us. So we'll do this again next week after the Brighton game. Hopefully we get the 3 points and we have a good showing. We'll see everybody. We'll see all of you then. And like I like to say on our way out of here, life is a journey. Don't waste the trip. Enjoy the ride. And we'll see you again. All right, everyone. Thank you. And we're out. Bye-bye.